So, hello everyone. This is attorney Robyn McCoy, and with Political Coffee with Robyn and Tracey. And we have our special guest, Pam Perry. And Tracey, I'm going to turn it on over to you.
Well, yes, fantastic. This is our special doubleheader Saturday, and happy 313 Day to everybody. You know, that's Detroit Day in Southeastern Michigan. And we are so pleased and honored to have with us today on Political Coffee, Pam Perry. She is the brand builder, and she's known to many as the Millionaire Media Mentor. She's an award-winning communications mentor, author, speaker, and entrepreneur, and she teaches everybody how to build their brands. And we're just so pleased to have her today. Her work has appeared at the Detroit Free Press, radio stations, the Michigan Chronicle, and all across the country. Welcome, Pam Perry, the PR guru. We're going to be talking about the intersection between politics and PR. How you doing, Pam?
I am doing great. Thank you, Tracey. Thank you, Robyn, for having me on. I'm excited.
And what drink
yes, and
do
I
you
love
have?
that background.
Yeah, we always have our drinks. So what drink do you have for today?
So I don't have coffee. I have green tea frappuccino. And what that is green tea basically mixed up with milk and ice in a venti. Okay.
From Starbucks. Yummy. Where'd you get that from?
This is from Starbucks, and I get this every day. Dunkin' Donuts also has the same thing. You can get the green tea frappuccino. They don't call it frappuccino, but green tea iced, I guess you would say.
I bet you cost $50 at Starbucks, though.
Well, yeah, Dunkin' Donuts is a lot less. It is.
Well, yeah, I'm glad because I don't drink coffee. Like I have my mug today. All things are possible to those who believe. Mark 9:23, and then I have
love that one. That's
green tea. I have Breathe Easy throat coat and this Buddha tea that's in there. But I don't drink. Even though we call it political coffee, I'm not a big coffee person. So I'm glad that you have given me another option to the coffee. And then Tracey, what mug do you have today?
Well, I brought my confident mug, because we're talking with a PR guru and PR coach on all about confidence and presenting yourself to the media and the world. And inside I have lemon zinger tea, because on Political Coffee, many times we spill that political tea as well. And we also banter back and forth on some lemon zingers. So some zingers, I should say. So that's why I did the lemon zinger tea. And like I said, it's from Celestial Seasonings, and it's really good and yummy. So cheers to both of you.
Yes.
Thank you. This is I need something about right now. 12 o'clock, I did a Facebook Live for Speakers Magazine. 2 o'clock, I was on a book club. I was on a book club from 2 to about 3. So yeah, I do need some coffee.
About your publications. I know that you wrote out a new magazine, Speakers Magazine, and we had a guest on our show, Political Coffee, a couple of weeks ago, the Honorable Leonia Lloyd, and she was touting her book, her honor, and she was a magnificent guest, and she's the cover girl of Speakers Magazine this month. Is that correct?
She was a Black History Month. She was actually February.
And then February.
And then March, we have Dr. Geneva Williams. So both of these ladies are trailblazers. They are trailblazer women in the city of Detroit. Dr. Geneva Williams was the first African-American to head president of the United Way Community Service. So she was the first one to really do that. And then, Judge Lloyd, you had her on her show, and she's made history by being Twins of Justice and all that sort of thing, the drug court. But I did it because, one, my clients are worthy to be covers. And when you think about the amount of magazines that we have out there, who is going to give us that shine? So we have Ebony, we have Essence, we got some in between, and a lot of them went out of business.
Do we still have Emerge magazine, or is that's gone? Wow.
Yeah, that one.
Black Elegance. Remember Black Elegance?
I do.
Think that's gone. That's gone.
Is Ebony? Is that Ebony? Is that we don't have Ebony anymore? Do we? Or
they have a new president now, so they do have someone that just started there just not too long ago. So, but they had went bankrupt from the original owners. John Johnson, and it just a transition of magazines in itself. So there are mainstream magazines, and they don't usually give us Black people the type of shine that we deserve. So that's why we have the Black press. We have the Black newspapers, Black radio, Black magazines, but then they struggle, and so they're not around. And so I created this for speakers and for authors so that they can actually be seen in a bigger light than I know that they weren't giving. So there is a white speakers magazine, but very rarely do they put Black people on it. So I said, you know what? Instead of always fighting to get your spot at the table, just go and create your own.
Create your own, right? That's excellent. Well,
That's
kudos to you and congratulations
Thank
for
you.
doing that. And
That's
and
awesome.
how long has Speakers Magazine
It's
been
4
in
years
existence?
now. It's
4 years.
Yes, 4 years
Wonderful.
now. And so one of the main things, we've had different covers. We have 12 covers. We've been publishing every single year. We had George Fraser. We had Dr. Ben Chavis, who is a just iconic. The Wilmington 10, he was on the cover. And of course, some people do know him, but then a lot of I would say millennials, maybe they don't.
Right.
We had Stephanie Mills on the cover. She was talking about Black Lives Matter. She's pretty much of an activist besides being a singer. We had Ed Gordon, who is from Detroit, went to Cass Tech. He was on the cover. He wrote a book called Conversations in Black. So those are the things where it's Black people really, they're our heroes. And so we have to celebrate them. That's the way I feel. We have to celebrate them. And then in between are other speakers as well, that actually are ones that people may not have heard of, like this gentleman here or this young lady here, but they're powerful. So we have
now,
to.
what were their names? The two you held up?
This one was Andrea Patrick. She is a fabulous marketing and branding coach. And then Jermaine Stanley, he is actually a speaker out of Washington, D.C., and he speaks on cybersecurity. And
I've heard of him.
Have you? Okay. Yes. But so you know how powerful he is, right?
Oh, very. Yeah. He's I'm really into tech and, the whole cyber world. And that caught my. Now, can I get a subscription? I mean, how can we, you subscribe to the magazine?
We do actually have a subscription where people can purchase this. They go to speakersmagazine.net. It's only $24 a year, and you can get it mailed to you every single month. We don't have it on stands. That's where the cost of a lot of the magazines probably fail, because they're trying to do that distribution thing. But we have direct mail where we actually mail out about 500 copies every single month.
Oh, okay.
And do you have a digital version as well?
Yes, the digital version is free, because that's the whole point of really making sure that people get the shine. So if they go to speakersmagazine.net, they can download it for free, read it for free. The videos of the speakers are embedded in there. Their speaker reels are embedded in the magazine, because what I want is that the speakers need to be heard. So yeah, we can read about them, but we need to hear their videos. So those are embedded in the magazine as well. So so if there's a conference host that needs a speaker, usually I need a Black speaker. So they'll go to speakersmagazine.net. They'll go through each issue. They'll read the videos and read the stories, watch the videos, and then select, because everybody's different. So
I'm curious, since we have an expert on, I have a journalism background, you have a journalism background. And what do you think about the yearbook of experts and spokespersons? And there's one other descriptor that they used to have with that. They used to put out this annual book guide for journalists to find experts quickly. Then it went to a digital platform. It's still out there, but have you ever done any placements or listings for clients on that?
It's all about SEO, Tracey. So you could be listed in there. And I think if you're a journalist, you probably are going to just Google first before you really go to a directory, maybe.
What's SEO? What does SEO stand for?
I'm sorry, search engine optimization.
Oh, okay. All right.
Search engine optimization. So it's all about being found in Google on page 1. So everybody wants to be on page 1 of Google. So if I'm Googling, say, Black speaker, cybersecurity, whatever, and if you show up online and then that's the keywords, then you'll go to that page and you'll find out about it.
People who are doing bookings for shows, they're not even going to these guides anymore. They're going straight to
Search engine.
Google
What
search
pops up
engines
first?
SEO. That is interesting. So that is like old school. So how does one become a PR guru and a brand builder?
Oh my goodness.
Tell us about your
That whole
journey.
it's been, and you know, because we worked together in your
Yes.
previous career. At that point, that was about 25 years ago. So before that, I was in Perry Marketing Group doing PR. But before that, I had a career, what was that, maybe 10 years before that. So now we're talking like 35, almost 40 years worth of stuff of doing the same, you know, marketing and PR. PR's
You don't look anywhere near old enough to be doing anything for 40 years. My
for about
goodness.
40 years. Yeah, about 40 years. Going to
Wow.
Wayne State Journalism School. You know, my first job was in the free press. I was really, when I went to Wayne State, they had the journalism school and you can go into different areas. And I didn't really want to be like a TV reporter. And I really didn't want to do like radio, you know, that kind of thing, a DJ or whatever. And I picked public relations because it seemed like it was a good meld of everything. You could still interact with all the other media, but you're really doing it in a advertising or a promotional type of way. And that was my bend. And so I worked at the South End, I worked at the radio station, was always in the promotional end. And that was really it. And I liked really getting my training, I guess you say, my early part of my career. I worked with different PR firms and things like that, worked on McDonald's or whatever. But it came to a point where I wanted to work with something that really made a difference. And so I really started working with authors and speakers, people like, you know, this or that, people who have a mission. And instead of like products are fine, but I really want to work with people who had a mission, who want to make a difference. So say for instance, if you know, if Michelle Obama said that she wanted me to be her publicist, I would just jump right all over that, right? Because you know she
You
has a
would.
mission and
Okay.
what she has to do versus maybe someone like a singer like Beyonce. And I know some people say, well, you don't want
Really?
to work with Beyonce. Well, she doesn't really have a message, a platform that I would want to promote because a publicist morphs into their client. They become their cheerleader, their hype man. They think about it. They dream. They're the person that lives in their bubble of how to best promote them. So it's always, for me, it has to be about your message first and the person second. And so that's really, and in African American, my bend is to really help Black people. So anyone who's doing good in the Black community, I'm all in. That's me. I'm just all in for that.
I know some of the Beyonce people out there will say, they'll be like, Beyonce
The
has
Bayhive.
been doing stuff in Texas. She has been doing stuff with all the
Yes.
debacle going on there. So
Now, you know what? I did work with her pastors, though. So I did work with Rudy
Really?
Rasmus and Juanita Rasmus. I worked with them. They both are authors and speakers. So
Well,
Juanita,
you read my mind because you're also known as the PR angel, and you have quite a connection with the religious
I love that.
community, right?
Yep.
What kind of things are you doing for them?
So with
Any
Juanita,
gospel artists?
not music so much, not music so much, unless it's someone that is like the Winans, like Pastor Winans or whatever. I work with
Okay.
him because he does conferences and he happens to sing. And Cece also did have a book, so I worked with her book years ago. So if they have a book that's a little bit different, but the Rasmus, Rudy, which is Rudy and Juanita, they're the pastors of Beyonce and Tina and all that whole family. Rudy's first book was called Touch. Then he had another one called Love Period. Okay, so basically it's about really how they work with the community because they've fed so many homeless people. They do so much philanthropy within downtown Houston. His whole story is just really remarkable. Juanita's book talks about her getting over depression for a couple of years, and her book is called Learning to Be. She did a TED talk about it. It went viral. And really her whole thing was really how to not just be a person just does good, but just learn to be that you're good enough. And she really talks about her practices in terms of coming out of her depression, which is very raw and open. I mean, you know, you heard Meghan Markle on Oprah talking about how she had mental issues and that sort of thing. It's hard for people to say that I need help, but she did. She said, I need help. And she's a pastor.
You read my mind. You read my mind on that because I wanted to ask you about the Meghan Markle and Prince Harry interview with Oprah. Did you see it, and what was your take on it?
I saw every single moment and I was tweeting right along with them.
Oh, you
Uh,
live tweeted. Okay.
yes, the person that I thought had the best tweets was the griot. They had the best
Mm.
tweets, the
Oh, I
griot.
have to go
They
check
were
theirs out.
they really did. And then of course Lovey, I don't know if you know Lovey, but Lovey also did some, she wrote a book called I'm Judging You, and she always does. She judges everybody, but her tweets are always hilarious. But I watched it and I told Mark, my husband, I said, and Aubrey watched it with me too. And she said, what is this about? I said, well, anything Oprah, I'm there. I said, but this particular one has to do with race. And I said, I'm
Right.
just so surprised. One of the things when it first came on, Oprah asked, she says, well, did you know what you were getting into when you were dating Prince Harry? And she says, no, I really didn't. She said, Oprah says, you didn't Google him? You know, we always Google. No, I didn't really Google him. And I didn't really, everything that I needed to know, he told me directly himself. I'm like, girl, really?
Hmm.
Really? You don't Google? I mean, if Aubrey's
I
gonna, if my
kind of don't
daughter's gonna date
believe that.
somebody,
You
she's
know,
gonna Google somebody.
somebody who is so media savvy as Meghan Markle, she was an actress. I mean, come on. I mean, I thought that was a little disingenuous
Yeah,
personally.
that part right there was like, really? You didn't know? You didn't Google? You
Well,
even
see,
your mom?
yeah, I have, because well, for me, again, I'm coming from the like the Princess Diana era. When I watch The Crown, I am all in. But that
You didn't watch The Crown before the Princess Diana episodes this last season?
I'm called. I was watching it before. I'm up to number. Everybody kept talking about it, so I did.
Okay.
I'm caught up, but I came up in the Princess Diana era, so I knew about The
Me
Crown from
too,
that
yeah.
perspective. But when she said that, I was kind of like, how can you be an American and not know about The Crown? But I did. I was talking to one of my friends today, and she said, now, she probably knew some things about The Crown and knew some stuff about Princess Diana, but knowing, even if you read about it, knowing that, but actually going into the situation and like where they not gonna, you suicidal because it's so intense, they not gonna let you get counseling, and then somebody gonna be nasty to you, and that Kate, and then they're gonna put some negative PR against you, and you supposed to just be quiet, and you have this background as an actress, and where she knows about how
Hey, Robyn, it sounds like you weren't quite buying it there.
I'm sympathetic.
Well, the whole point of it is that she has a mother, African American mother. Even if
Right.
Meghan didn't Google it,
Joya Ragland.
her mother would say, "Listen, honey, let me tell you, you black, okay? Your
Right,
mother, you black. So
right.
let me tell you some things just on the side, what you need to do. When you meet the queen, you need to curtsy. When you do this, you need, and let me tell you that even Princess Diana, even Meghan, if she didn't read it, her mother would say, you know what? It was even hard for Princess Diana. So let me tell you what you need to do. Strap yourself in, girl.
Right.
Just strap yourself in. But see, she wasn't strapped in. She was just, everything was like a surprise. I'm like, we knew it wouldn't be a surprise, but why are you acting so surprised? It's like, yes, it's a racist place. Who did not know that it would? So that whole thing. So when Oprah was like, well, they want to know about the baby's color. Yes, Oprah. I know you're trying to like just, but yeah,
Any
Sensationalize it.
speculation about
I
who might
mean,
have said that? About the interest in how Archie's skin tone might have turned out? People are saying it was Prince Charles.
that's what I know. That's what people are saying. It was Prince
or
Charles.
William.
Well, but see, I'm
One of
gonna
the
just
two.
tell you again. I'm Team Princess Diana. So people they ain't got no love for Prince Charles anyway, because the way he was so raggedy, there was see, for me, it was a rumor about Princess Diana being taken out because she was dating an Arab guy, and because she was still living, it would make it harder for Charles to get with Camilla. But once I saw that interview with
Dodie Fayed,
Meghan
right?
and Harry, and they were talking about Archie wasn't going to get any security, and they talking about, I mean, he's not going to get a title. I was like, I mean, for me, I know a lot of us are like, the British, come on, they raped, pillaged, colonized. They got their profits off of the back of people of color all over the world. So of course they're racist.
Yeah, but I've got to interject. The British were so far ahead of the Americans in terms of abolishing slavery, and they've had 2 female prime ministers. So I view the British government as being far more progressive. But back to this
But there's
interview. I
only
mean,
one African American woman in Parliament. I mean, this is 2021, the first one
yeah, but
ever.
people have to run for it too. So
Well,
I'm
they
just
did.
saying, listen, I'm an anti-monarchist. I am, this whole notion of somebody being born royal and they're better than everybody, that's ridiculous. I say down with the monarchy. So the whole premise about getting security in a title, I'm not with it, okay? Because to me, that's anti-humanistic. But in terms of the interview itself, Pam, I mean, how do you think Oprah did? Was she on top of her game? Because she hasn't done
Oh
any
my God, she
interviews in a long
hasn't done
time.
it in a long time, but there was nothing better than watching her work her magic in those interviews. She is so intent on looking like she's listening, asking the right questions. Now, she came on and said, "This isn't scripted."
Right.
She
Yes.
said before it started, she said, "This interview is not scripted." She did happen to mention that they were neighbors, which I thought was so cool. It was like, oh, we're just neighbors with
But the interview wasn't taking place at either of their
no,
homes.
because they probably felt that people would stalk them or
Yeah,
something.
I mean, they already
Right.
got to deal with all kinds of unwanted attention. So yeah, and I feel that yes, Tracey, to your point, the British have been progressive. They abolished slavery sooner than we did in America, but they
Significantly.
need to have truth and reconciliation. We need to have reparations in Britain, America. And so when Prince William the other day was like, no, my family is not racist. Okay, your family is built off the backs of your wealth, off of raping and pillaging and colonizing people of color all over the world, and there needs to be accountability. So
I mean, that's why we don't need a monarchy. Listen, I believe that once, Queen Elizabeth II, she's what, 94 years old, Prince Philip's
100.
99. Once she leaves Earth, that's probably going to be the end of the monarchy because, listen, we know they have prime ministers. She's already said to the royal family, get your acts together, your holdings, your assets, because we don't know what the future holds. And I'm just curious, Pam, did you watch the Netflix series The Crown?
I watched some of it. It was interesting. Parts of it I got too what's the word I want to say? I wasn't that interested in it. It seemed boring to me. I mean, I get it,
Really?
and that I just wasn't into it. Now, my family, my daughter, and my husband, they watch every single one of them. But every time I would
Really?
come down, and I would like, okay, I get it. I mean, it's this whole the whole mindset, like you said, the monarchy, and it's just like, okay, I that needs to go. Then the woman was trying to break out of certain things, and it was just like it was wrong. It kind of made me mad. It was like, oh my God, and that was way back then. So to see something like bring it up to now to 2021, and it's still kind of the same thing, I'm like, really, this is irrelevant. No one should
Right.
be living like this. This is
Well, the
crazy.
reason why I ask is because there is a character on The Crown who's based on a real life individual named Tommy Lascelles. And, he was a handler. He handled the public relations. He was involved with optics and how things looked and how to handle the media.
Mm.
And actually, I had a thing for Tommy Lascelles, let me tell you. Played by, I think it was, the actor's name is Pip Torrens. And wow, I mean, whew, anyway, he just did such a great job. And I saw myself in him too. I really could relate because of what we have done in well, you're still doing it, Pam, but being in public relations and so I don't know. Did you notice that character of Tommy Lascelles, the Queen's handler, and he worked for her dad, and he just handled everything until he retired. The royal family always turned to Tommy Lascelles to handle things.
Yeah, that was the one I did kind of like. That was the one that was kind of relevant that I kind of said, oh, okay, I understand this part because I understand what his role was. He was just trying to really do the spin. He was always trying to
Right.
do the spin. And his job was just to make sure that things looked and were perceived right in the public's eye. And that was his
Yeah.
thing. Now that was probably real. That
Well,
was
and
probably
Pam,
real.
I'm curious with your background, what would you suggest that the royals would do to fix this? Because my understanding is that in the UK, the older generation is with the crown and the younger generation is with Harry and Meghan. And I hear what you guys are saying about down with the monarchy. My physical therapist is from Belgium, and she said the same thing she's like, what are these? We have monarchists too. What do they do for us? All these taxpayers' dollars are being wasted.
100 million a year.
Right. But I'll say from the American standpoint, it's like it's an escape for us. It's a distraction. I mean, we love having Harry and Meghan. We love Princess Diana. So what would you suggest that Queen Elizabeth, that the Crown, Prince Charles, that they should do as far as damage control with what's going on with Harry and Meghan?
I think, they're, I guess you said they're Larry King, which was a Pierce Morgan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He quit. And it's
Right.
going to all start toppling down. They don't have to do anything. It's going to all start toppling down. Pierce Morgan, he quit. He went off the air. And then people
Good
were like,
Morning Britain, right? I saw
yeah,
stuff.
it was like,
Do
okay.
you think that was a publicity stunt, Pam? Do you think that was staged? Because
he was on CNN. He did that on CNN too before. He's
he
just
did.
crazy.
Somebody said it might be like a promo for him to try an attempt on his part to try to get on Fox or something, or get on have his own show somewhere else.
Ooh, that'd be interesting if he got on Fox, wouldn't it? Yeah. Yeah, but no, he was
fit
on
right
CNN
in.
before, and he did that at CNN and he stormed off. But I don't think they have to do anything. It's going to all topple down. I would say that the person that got the best publicity out of it was Tyler Perry. I had no idea
Oh yeah.
that he was the one that rescued them. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So that whole thing with Tyler and his kingdom, I guess you would say.
He's awesome. Yes.
Yes.
The former plantation, taking a negative and turning it into a positive.
Right. So there should be more Black people that do things like what Tyler is doing or have done for things that aren't right in the world, to just say, okay, put my money where my mouth is, let's make it right. And that's really what it is. I mean, so you've got, like Beyonce has her foundation, Be Good Foundation, and that sort of thing. So they give away money and they make things that are wrong right. The trial that's going on right now with George Floyd, or people giving money to Black Lives Matter, whatever. People who have the money, who have the say, who have the influence, use it to make stuff that's wrong right. That's really what you should do. So any PR person who's worth their salt should be able to say, okay, I know you're going to do this. You're really into doing this, but let's make sure that people know about it. Why? So that other people will be encouraged to do the same thing. Do what Tyler did, or to do what Beyonce does, whoever's doing good, to make sure that gets shine, the good stuff,
right.
So that people will do more good. Because we always know about the bad stuff people doing, but that doesn't encourage anybody.
You mentioned about celebrities, glomming onto an issue and, shedding light, bringing light to an issue. But what about new activists? We had attorney Lanita Baker on in the first hour, and this today marks the 1-year anniversary of the death of Breonna Taylor. She's in Louisville, Kentucky. They've got rallies going on. What if somebody is an activist and they want to get on TV and, amplify their message? Do they come to you, or what can they do to prepare, for the media and to get out there and get known?
They can come to me, but one of the things too, just like you're launching anything, if you're launching a book or you're launching a program, you do the same thing. You're building your platform. And one of the quickest ways sometimes to build a platform is to go through the media, but you have to be, it's a trick. It's catch-22. It's like you can get the job if you have the experience, but you can't get the experience till you have the job. So sometimes you can't get on the media till you've had some media. So it's a weird situation. So you have to start at the bottom, building that brand from the bottom with the media, and then media begets media and gets bigger and bigger. So no one starts out at the beginning. And that's why I do things like this, like maybe she's on the cover of this magazine first. It's a cover of a magazine. Now, admittedly, it's online. It's not been around like Ebony or Jet, but at least it's a start. And then they can leverage it to other cities and things like that. So they do have to start somewhere. Sometimes I say if they're activists, start out with the book. The book will give them opportunities to do media tours, and obviously they'll have media training. but sometimes even aligning up with a larger public figure or a larger activist, or teaming up with, I don't know, Cornel West, or teaming up with Michael
Reverend Al
Eric Dyson.
Sharpton.
Or
Yeah,
Ben
something.
Crump. I
Okay.
know Ben has been trying to recruit
Yeah.
me to come out and do some more stuff.
Yes, he
Yeah.
would be the one. So aligning yourself up with that, because a lot of times, and think about it in terms of what Jesse Jackson, he walked with Martin Luther King. He
Right.
walked with him, and there were a lot of people that walked with Martin Luther King because they had the big platform. Your message is still with theirs, but you're going and you're supporting them and you're helping them, and you're really sowing your time with them, and then a lot of the shine that they will get, eventually you will get as well. You're following their footsteps. So I kind of say that for the activists, it's really easy to do. So depending on who that person is, who do they want to associate with, and then just really wherever that person has gone in terms of media, you go up right behind
Kind
them.
of shadow them.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
It's a lot easier. Like if someone were following Dr. Ben Chavis, it would be very easy to, I mean, Dr. Chavis at a certain point in time, he's going to want other people to go where he can't go, because he can't be everywhere.
And sort of pass the baton
Passing the
to the
yeah.
next generation.
Exactly. You do have to pass the baton.
I think
What
that's
about
like, that's kind of
YouTube?
like what Judge Thomas has done with expungements. She's recruited some of us to come around and do expungement workshops, and I've been doing that. But I'm at the point now where I've got to
Have someone else do
recruit some younger folk, other folk, because I realize there's only one of me in expungement. We have about 1 million people, that probably more, that are eligible with this new legislation that's coming into effect in April 11th, and we need more attorneys to be involved and engaged with helping people to get their their records cleared.
And you were saying, Tracey, you asked about YouTube or whatever. Yeah, definitely social media makes you have a large footprint very quickly if you know how to use
Okay.
it properly. And
Right.
but even like
And
there's,
they can consult with you. I mean, do you put on workshops? And I saw you did something the other day, and I just loved it because it was framed on a cell phone, and
oh
you
yes,
sent
that
your
was,
message, and you talked about you got to have a white paper, and so do you do clinics, workshops to help people?
I have a podcast every single week. I do it
Great.
LinkedIn Live. I do it on YouTube. It is
Okay.
on iTunes. It's on Spotify. But it's
That's
called Get Out
awesome.
There and Get Known. And it's Get Out There and Get Known.
Google Pam Perry, and boom, come up.
Yes, Pam Perry Podcast. It'll come up. It will
Okay.
come up. Pam Perry Podcast. It'll come up. PamPerryPodcast.com. And you'll see it's a video and it's show notes and it's resources. Because every single week, what the main thing that irritates me the most is people think it's so much easy. It's easy to get media. They think they're more ready than they really are. They think they're more ready than they really are, because they're not. They're not. And I have a program called Ready, Set, Go, Speak. And so when people go through the program, it's like, I just want to get out there and speak. It's like, you're not ready, boo. There's so many different things that you need. But the main thing is that I interview media people every single week, and they tell me what they're looking for. They see the mistakes that people are making when they're being pitched. I interview PR colleagues, and we kind of go back and forth about what we've seen, and like, woo, everybody wants to get on Oprah as soon as they get a book. We kind of laugh about that. It's like, if everybody could get on Oprah as soon as they got a book, everybody would be a bestseller. And then I also just do solo shows of things that I see people making mistakes. Some of the main things is like, they don't plan their marketing for anything. So they think a month before something launches that, all I have to do is just start spamming people and letting them know that, oh, I have a book coming out, or I have a program, or I have a movie, or I have this coming out. But it's like, it takes at least 6 months to plan.
So they've got to lay the infrastructure before they do the rollout.
And develop the relationships before. Develop the relationships before you need them.
Have you booked people, clients on national shows? Is that part of what you do?
Yeah. If they have a national profile, I've worked with TD Jakes. It was easy to get him on PBS. I've worked with Dr. Cindy Trim, who just recently was on Good Morning America. She was on O Magazine, Newsweek. I mean, so if a person has a brand already established,
okay,
think about it. The national media wants to match it with national figures. The national media doesn't want someone who's not known to make them known. They want them already known because it's matching with their audience. So you start here and you grow to that. TD Jakes did not just come out of the blue. When he was on the cover of Time magazine in 2001, he had been in ministry probably 20 years before that.
Right.
But couldn't somebody also catch fire with an issue? I point
Yeah.
to myself, for example. I was contacted by the Dr. Phil show. They wanted me to come on the show with my then client about the sex judge. And, I was ready, willing, and able to do it. But I told the producer, look, I've got to consult with my client. The client may not want to do that. And the client did not. Okay.
Right.
The client did not want to do that. And the client rules. And so, I wasn't going to talk the client into doing it. The client didn't want to do it. So bye-bye, Dr. Phil.
But Dr. Phil, you did not pitch Dr. Phil. That's the thing
No,
about
they
the
came
national
to
shows.
us.
The
Right.
national shows have producers, from Nightline to Good Morning America to Today Show. They are producers, and they sit around and they decide what they want that show to look like, and they go and find it. They find it. So you had to bubble up either online or something, or they were looking, but a good producer will find the best guests for their shows. So I always tell people, if you are want to be found by national media, continue to do what you're doing, but pitch the local media, get on the local shows, because sometimes if you do really good on the local show, it will then be picked up by the national, or the radio show. Get on Sirius XM, and then they'll listen to you here, and then maybe you'll go on a larger national NPR or whatever. But the whole point of it is that the national shows, they don't like, I'm gonna say they don't like to be pitched, but more than likely spend the time pitching the things that that you can get, versus like, I'm going to pitch Good Morning America, Today Show, and CNN. Well, they have producers that are looking for people, and they know what they want. And they don't want anybody that's just looking just to be quote unquote famous. They reached out to you. That's what they want. They wanted to reach out to you. They have a pretty much set their program idea what they want that show to look like, and then they go out and look for it.
Yeah,
So
because it was a salacious headline. I mean, that made national headlines at the time. I'm not going to mention who the judge was, but you can Google it.
But at the time, I mean, but at the time, you're not sitting around like pitching yourself to people that
they called me. But I thought it was interesting how they found me. The producer found me, and she said, "Well, listen, if you've got anything else, any other clients, here's my number. Call me." But I do want to ask you this, Pam. We just had a president leave office who was on a national TV show. There seems to be a blur between politics and PR, not just in terms of the presidency, but just overall. And one thing that I found fascinating is how these lobbyist firms are actually merging with public relations firms. Mm-hmm. And I just wonder, what is your take on that? Have you ever done any work in that? And what's your thoughts on that, the blur between the lines?
For the most part, the lobbyists that I know and I've met and I've worked with, they have come out of law. They've been in the legal career. They are, I want to say that they're not really concerned about image or optics or the brand. They're pretty straight up out of, they're working on an issue. So to merge with the PR firm, I'm thinking like, okay, now what is this about? And it does seem like everything, we had a president that was just all about optics, all about branding. He was like the marketing machine that would just lie just to get whatever he wanted. And now that seems like that's the norm. And that's really
it blew up in his face, though. We know we're talking about 45, President Trump, but when I see today's brand of politician, it does seem like it's all about the PR, because they're doing the social media and they're doing the appearances.
Yeah. And they saw someone who just basically was a one-man branding machine or PR machine or whatever he was, go from nothing in politics to president. And the only way you can say that he did that was because of his marketing campaign. Right. And so now people think like, well, that's all I need to do now. And so it leaves a very shallow political office now, because people think that I could just go from just having really good photos or sound bites and have my press kit together and have a good sizzle reel and I can get elected. And it's like, oh my goodness. So then we have like the people who who have been in the trenches, people who really care, people who this was their calling,
Right.
people who, you know, the real politicians that we know that even like, you know, I think about Nick Hood or whatever, you know, they were a pastor, but then they had such a conviction and they want to work for on the council. So these are the people with the convictions and integrity, but because they don't have the right marketing, they're not going to be looked at as credible as someone who puts together a slick campaign, you know. And I'm a PR girl, but it's just like, you know, but when certain things that have to do with integrity, you can't just outbrand that. You got to have it in your heart. And smart people will see the difference. Smart people.
Right.
Okay. So I'm just saying people who follow 45, they may not have been so smart because they were following lies. You know,
And there are people still following him, and then they're saying that he's supposed to be having something coming up in the next month or so, like a new TV station, a radio station, and you know, they're like, you know, people are saying they wouldn't be surprised in 2024 if he runs again because he still has people that are following him. And on that,
get a reality show. He needs to get that out of his system. Just have a reality show again, so he.
But you know, Pam, President Trump, who I have met in person, and I've spoken with him, and I've spoken with his son Donald Trump Jr. extensively. He would welcome an opportunity for a television show again, but you know, he's not popular right now. Well, I don't know. I might back up on that one. And you know, they deep six his celebrity. Circles. Yeah, with the media, okay, not Fox News, okay, right, or Newsy. Right. He would welcome an opportunity to, you know, get back on television, but they were the ones that deep sixed him. But I would like your opinion on this. It seems like since 45 left office, you know, the media, you know, we've heard stories. The media ratings have been down for CNN, Fox News, MSNBC. I mean, there was some kind of intersection there between Trump and the media and PR. I mean,
it's a love hate. Yeah, love hate.
Yeah, and when Rush getting the ratings. Yeah, when Rush Limbaugh, when he passed as well, they left like a void, right. You know, because there was that you know, people want to hear that. So maybe Trump will go back and take his place.
Right. Well, I've heard the rumor. I'm sure you both heard the rumor that
he would be
might take over.
He would be on the air every day, spouting off just like Rush did, and that will feed his ego. And then the people who follow him would love it as well. But just stay out of politics, okay? Because you know you can't mess up anything if you're just on the radio.
There's no guarantee of that. You know, I mean, that Lara Trump is going to be running for office, the daughter-in-law, and there were rumors that Ivanka might run for Senate and challenge Marco Rubio. Now she's backing away from that. But, you know, say what you will about Rush Limbaugh. Listen, I didn't agree with all of his opinions, but I tell you, I did listen to his show because from a radio standpoint and a performance standpoint, he built something amazing. Mm-hmm. And his techniques as a performer, as a radio host were phenomenal. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not saying I agree with his opinions and I love his opinions.
He definitely was like the top talk show, you know, whether you agree with it or not, but he was he kept your attention.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
And Pam, I'm curious in with all of this, I know you said you represent African-American clients, but we see what's happening right now with Cuomo, and what the scuttlebutt is with Cuomo is that you have somebody a year ago, he was like he was the hero. He was the father comforting.
And now he's a zero.
And now he's a zero. But the scuttlebutt is that it's a Republican strategy to get rid of him and get him a Republican governor. And then when they go after Trump, that he gets pardoned by the Republican governor to make it possible for him to go and run for president again. So if you were advising Cuomo, let's pretend he was black or whatever, what would you do? Because I'm like, it's like when they come for you, I'm like, and I mean, he's not perfect. I feel like there should be some sensitivity training, but there's an expression out there that the Democrats come for their own or eat their own or what, and it's like they're piling on to him. I was upset about Al Franken. Yes, he did wrong. There should have been consequences, but he was taken out, and we don't.
Yeah, the Democrats lost the seat. I mean, Pam, would you represent Andrew Cuomo if he came knocking? He said,
pretty much like Al Franken. I mean, he was the cool guy, and stuff happen, just it's done. Goodbye. I mean, we're in the era where we don't tolerate that type of sexual um behavior. Okay.
because of the Me Too movement. But what
The
about
Me
Judy
Too
Smith?
movement. I
I
mean,
mean,
so
Judy Smith would probably take on a client like that if he came begging. Look, I need your crisis management. You know,
Crisis
I mean, really,
management.
that's what he said.
mm-mm.
He needs
he,
crisis management.
he needs to go sit down. That would be my
But,
thing.
but see, Pam, you
And
say
I
that.
like him. Like I said, I like him as a person. I never met him on, but this right here is bigger than him. It's nothing that they can say at this point. There's been so, think about the Me Too movement. They're just like bam, bam, bam. Tavis Smiley. Oh my God. No, so if Tavis is to come to me and say, well, Tavis, what happened with you at PBS? What were you doing with the interns? And he said, well, I just, but we haven't heard from Tavis.
Okay.
No, not a peep.
Not a
Listen,
peep
let me ask you about
until
Dr.
it blows
Cornel
over.
West. Dr. Cornel West and the Harvard situation. Dr. West says that was all political, his failure to get tenure because Harvard would not offer to him. And
Go to
now he's
Morehouse.
okay.
Go to
Well, he went
Howard.
to Universal Theology, something or other school.
This is the
Uh,
same thing. It is the same thing, Tracy. It's just like we are always begging for our spot at the table. Then go and get your own where you're celebrated.
Right. Go
Okay.
go make your own
Interesting.
I'm
table.
just sick
Yeah.
of this, and I mean, make some money. You'll make some money doing other. I mean, if they keep slapping you in the face, then just what, figure out another strategy.
And
For
I've
now.
met him, and my aunt Virgie had him at her house during the it was like last year during the campaign, and he's brilliant.
I was there. That
Yeah,
was in
you were there too.
2019. Yeah.
He's brilliant, and the fact that the
And we saw
Harvard,
him at the Fox Theater too, at the
yeah, we saw
CNN debate.
he's
Too
brilliant.
brilliant for Harvard.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. You heard it
He
here
would just
first on
awaken
Political
too
Coffee.
many people. He's like, people say, well, you need to stay woke or get woke, or he is that. And Harvard's just like, you're good, come in, but just go back. Don't rock the boat too much. So he needs to just be let loose from that plantation and just go where he needs to go and fly. Because listen, he can leave and then do so much more. So much more.
Interesting.
Right.
Wow.
He needs to get out of that safe little nest where he is with those little people and go and fly, because he is brilliant.
Right.
I see more for him than what he's doing right now. I really do.
Right.
I really do. He's
You
like
know,
a Marcus Garvey of the 21st century.
that's an interesting analogy. My great grand uncle actually represented Marcus Garvey when he had dealings with the FBI. We might do a documentary on it with Grover
Oh my
McCants, Robyn.
Oh.
Yeah, my uncle and my
I would
great
love to help with
grandfather were
that.
some of the first Black lawyers, to practice in Detroit. And my
That's
uncle
awesome.
actually represented Marcus Garvey. And when I say
Wow.
that, everybody's like, wow, we've got to hear that story,
Yes.
So, but I think I'm going to be consulting with you, Pam, soon on some things. And if anybody else wants to consult with you, they just Google you, or you want to give your website address?
Yeah.
Really simple, PamPerryPR.com. They'll find the magazine there, the podcast there, the blog there, my Instagram, if you're into that. You can even see my TikTok at PamPerryPR.com.
I saw your TikTok video.
I definitely
so
want to
cool.
check all this out, because definitely it's important for folks to get the knowledge, and connect with you.
Yeah. So PamPerryPR.com. I'm on Clubhouse. I try all the different mediums just so I could see which one works for my clients. If I had a dance studio, I would tell them they'd have to be on TikTok. If they are a speaker,
I saw you on TikTok and LinkedIn. You were getting it. Somebody said, "Oh, get it, Pam." You were doing the dance. And
I'm trying to get on TikTok. I was gonna get on there because I'm a dancer, but they make me nervous after they start talking about the Chinese and everything. But I'm gonna get on there. Y'all gonna look up. Because I'm a dancer. Y'all gonna see me doing some stuff. I'm gonna be on there in a minute.
That's it. Well, that it is. They do talk about the Chinese and that sort of thing. So I have it where I don't put in my phone number. It's a certain way. So we could talk about it later. But yeah, I do feel that there are some real issues that probably. So I put stuff on there and then I download it and save it, and then I don't go all in, and I'm not commenting back and forth, and no one can comment to me. Yeah.
Okay.
There's some issues.
And I love your look. You're giving me, I'm getting that like Native American look. Like, it's like and you're like, it's like you're relaxed. Your energy is calming. That's just awesome.
I do. I felt like a Native American look today. And that's kind of like one of those things like, okay, what do I feel like today? So, we got all kind of stuff mixed up in this anyway. So I said, I feel Native American today.
Well, that's why they call Pam Perry the PR guru.
Thank you. Thank you. You know who used to call me that? And I
Who?
missed him so much, was Angelo Henderson.
Oh, I was gonna say Angelo.
No, Angelo was the one that nicknamed that. I remember when he first got here and he was an intern. I was working at the Free Press and he was an intern. He and Felicia at the Detroit News.
Yeah.
And
How's
so
Felicia doing, his wife?
she's doing really good. She has a
Okay.
second career now. She's doing something with the Maynard Institute or something like that with
Great for
journalism.
her.
Yeah. And her
Wow.
son is really doing well because her son, I call him my nephew, actually got me on Clubhouse and he's doing a lot of branding and marketing. So Felicia said,
Wow.
keep in touch with him. He's in California and again, he's building up I see Angelo in his son. So it's real interesting
Wow.
watching Grant, do his thing.
I miss Angelo Henderson so much. I mean, he won a Pulitzer and
Yes.
we just, miss him dearly. So, but Pam, I would love for you to come back on and talk more about politics and PR. I hope it could be like a regular thing, when you have time.
Yeah.
Because there's
Media
so much
and
going
politics
on.
they really do go together. They really
do.
And I really want to know that the politicians that have integrity, that feel like they're not getting their voices out there or shared enough, then I can help them. Because if they are good people, but they don't have the right quote unquote PR, I can help them. But the people who have the good PR and bad messages, they need to go away.
Okay, so we know who to send your way because we're definitely politically engaged. I'm the vice chair for the Michigan Democratic Women's Caucus, so I know I'm definitely gonna send. But I hear you, good messages. We don't want no craziness like that one.
It's all about the messaging. Message connect. Right.
Yes. And I did that whole thing. I have this thing that people sometimes they like to be on social media just for ego purposes. They're addicted to the likes. It's like dopamine to them. It's like, okay, let me put something up here for that. And so you find sometimes like politicians are like that too. Like, I just want to be seen to be seen. I said, but you're not saying anything.
I know it needs to be substance. That's why you don't see me. I'm not going to just be out there in the media. I'm trying to be out there about positivity, about doing, working for God's purpose for me. I'm not going to just be on TV, on the media just to be on. That's what you got to have substance,
Right. That is so true. Like Judge Lianya, she took 20 years roughly to write that book.
She's awesome.
And she did say that in the interview that it, and that it was divinely inspired as well. I think she touched on that. And, that was a great interview though. It was too short, we needed more time. And we said, hey, Judge Lloyd, you've got to come back and visit with us again because the story is just so compelling. But this is wonderful to hear from the brand builder, the millionaire media mentor, Miss Pam Perry, the PR guru herself. And she's going to join us again on a future episode of Political Coffee, the official podcast. Love you.
And hopefully you'll come back when Judge Lloyd's, when her book is turned into a movie, because I had my assistant, he watched the video. He said, oh my gosh, when is the movie coming out? She said, her and her sister, that's such a powerful story,
It is very unique too. So yeah. And I would definitely help with that. I definitely would. That will be, even though I don't really do movies, I would help with that. A book to a movie. Definitely would.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Good to know. All
right. Well, thank you, ladies, for having me. I really enjoyed this.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, thank you, Pamela. So this has been Political Coffee with Robyn and Tracey and special guest, PR guru Pam Perry. And again, I have my mug. All things are possible to those who believe. Mark 9:23. And so this has been a great Saturday. And again, you guys see my poster in homage to Breonna Taylor. Look out for the information we're going to share with you guys so we can all get involved. And you don't know. Next time you look up, Tracey and I, maybe Pamela too, will be in Kentucky. Okay, we're going to bring it to Kentucky. Okay, because we got to have
maybe Minneapolis, Minnesota
Breonna
too.
Taylor. Okay, Black Lives Matter. Okay, and what Tracey said too. We black. Okay, we matter. Okay, so Tracey, I'm gonna turn it back over to you.
Well, I just want to remind everybody that we're going to be rolling out a brand new website as part of our rollout and during Women's History Month, Political Coffee, the official podcast. We also have some merch coming. We have a new Facebook page, a new Twitter page, and it's an exciting time for us. And we're going to be consulting with the PR guru going forward. And please remember to like and subscribe our new YouTube channel.
That's right.
We have an expungement seminar coming up on a Zoom and YouTube about Michigan's new expungement law, the clean slate law, heavy hitter panel, all-star panel with Congresswoman Debbie Dingell. And next week, I think we're taking it off, but I might have an interview for you with Ed Sarpolis, who is, we've heard today from the PR guru, Ed Sarpolis is the polling guru.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, so great to see you all. Thanks for joining us again today, and happy 313 Day.
Yep. All right. We'll see y'all later. Y'all be safe. Yep.
Thanks, Robyn. Thank you, Pam, PR
Thank
guru.
you, Tracey. Thank you,
Everybody
Pam.
have a great weekend.
You
All right,
too.
you too.
Be blessed.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.